Here comes the fully finished mindless banger. Those who like it will have their whole family in good health and smooth career. More finished satisfying stories are available in Lalai Satisfying Stories. Like and follow so you won't get lost. Thank you for your support. When the zombie virus broke out, I clung to the door and begged Henry not to throw me out. He kicked me several times in the chest. His mother stabbed my hand with a knife, and his mistress smashed my head with high heels. As I was being torn and eaten by zombies, in excruciating pain, their cold smiles were etched in my mind. After being reborn, I left them a few kitchen knives and handsomely departed, lying flat happily in the abundant supplies I had stockpiled. I panted heavily, waving my hands incessantly, but in front of me, there was only a familiar door. No terrifying zombies, no stench of rotting flesh or blood. It checked my body. Internal organs were intact, limbs were complete. Taking out my phone, I saw the time had returned to 7 days before the zombie outbreak. I was reborn. Before I could accept this fact, the door was pushed open. My boyfriend Henry poked his head in confused. Why are you shouting outside? Did you buy what mom asked for? That bastard. At the sight of his face, a revenge plan immediately emerged in my mind. I used all my willpower to calm down and followed him inside. The living room had air conditioning on, and Henry, Susan, and the so-called cousin, actually his mistress, Bid, were sitting on the sofa enjoying themselves. As soon as Susan saw me, her smile faded. Flora, did you buy what I wanted? I remembered that on this day, Susan had asked me to buy skincare products, deliberately picking a fight by saying I'd bought the wrong ones. She would let me shop online, forcing me to run around in the sweltering heat. I took out the anti-aging cream I'd spent thousands on and smashed it at the feet of her and Bid. The cream broke into pieces, and Susan jumped in fright, shouting shrilly, "What are you doing?" I kept a straight face, too lazy to explain. Henry and Bid quickly protected her, demanding to know what was going on. Looking at them, they were clearly one family. I just wanted to go back to my room and digest the fact of my rebirth. But Susan obviously wouldn't let me off. She rushed over and raised her hand to slap me. "You bitch, pay for my cream." I was prepared, grabbing Susan's hand and forcefully shaking her off. It then turned and slapped Bid across the face. Bid's face immediately swelled. The apocalypse was coming. What was still enduring for? Before they could react, I went into my room and fell on to the soft bed. I didn't try. I only laughed. Although I was reborn 7 days ago, the moment Henry threw me out felt like just a few hours ago. Half a month after the zombie virus outbreak, Susan had taken charge of the food at home, as she demanded. No matter how we saved, the supplies were quickly exhausted, so the three of them decided to throw me to the zombies. How ridiculous. That day, I found out Bid was pregnant with Henry's child. When I clung to the door frame begging Henry, he kicked me in the chest several times. Susan stabbed my hand with a knife, and Bid smashed my head with high heels. It was more despairing than death. In this life, I will definitely take revenge. As I was about to go out, I heard whispers outside the door. "Mom, I usually tell you not to be too hard on her, but you won't listen." Before Susan could speak, Bid said, "Henry, how can you take her side? It seems you're still obsessed with that bitch, aren't you? Don't you recognize me anymore?" Henry said, "You two forget that she's still paying the mortgage on this house. What if you drive her away?" The other two fell silent. Susan's voice rang out again. "Then what do you want me to do? Apologize to that bitch?" Before they could come find me, I pushed the door open and went out, smiling. "Susan, it's all because of the hot weather. I called NT. Control my temper. How about I treat you to a luxury vacation to relax?" Luxury. Susan only heard those two words. She leaned over to look at my phone. It showed her the most expensive option with its luxurious description, making her sharp. mean face break into Asmal as she kept saying, "Expensive is good, expensive is good." Susan had always disdained me for being a live stream seller, calling me unseemly and unworthy of her college-educated son. Yet she had no problem using the hard-earned money I made as a streamer. It suggested, "Henry take annual leave to go too," and he was immediately tempted and took time off. Seeing Bid's envious look, I quickly said, "Bid, come too and help me take care of Susan and Henry." Bid naturally didn't refuse, sweetly saying thank you. "Flora," I held my phone up to Henry, "I didn't save enough money in my card. Can you pay for me first? My last sales commission is about to be paid, and I'll pay you back double." Henry was reluctant at first, but when he heard double, he happily paid for the luxury trip. And even Susan didn't stop him. I sneered inwardly. Even when we lived together, that bastard always had to confront me about everything. Once, I needed to borrow money for working capital and paid it back a few days later, but he still gave me the cold shoulder for days. I was really stupid in my past life, treating Henry as my everything. That night, I researched all night in the living room. The next day, watching them enthusiastically discuss packing for the trip made me sick, but I needed them to leave the house for a few days. I made an excuse to go to work, but actually drove my delivery van around looking for a house. Finally, I found a top-floor apartment in a suitable location, immediately contacted the landlord to negotiate the lease, and then couldn't wait to find a renovation company. The information I found last night was very useful. Houses never looked safe enough. I had the renovation workers replace all the glass with one-way bulletproof glass. Although the original windows had security bars, I still felt adding an internal security net would be safer. The curtains had to be completely light blocking, even though it was the top floor. I would be careless. I was most dissatisfied with the commercial housing Santi the F door, so I replaced it with a heavier, thicker one and had workers at a solid iron gate. Outside, an extra line of defense was definitely not wrong after all. I had seen things more terrifying than zombies. The renovation workers were dumbfounded and asked, "Miss, what do you do?" I had to fob them off, saying I was afraid of thieves and heights. After paying for expedited service, the renovation began, and I hurried to another place to order solar panels. After the boss and workers rushed off to start work, I ordered 20 batteries and gas cylinders. After finishing today's tasks, I dragged my tired body home, planning to rest well and continue buying supplies tomorrow. The living room was empty. Susan should have gone for a walk at this hour. I opened a bottle of soda for myself but vaguely heard strange sounds from the guest room. Walking over to listen, I almost threw up. "Honey, do you like this? Can I call you husband?" "Yes. I love it when you kiss your wife." They must have thought I was at work, so they were so brazen, catching them in the act. I found myself surprisingly calm, even able to record while shopping on my phone. After taking a shower and locking the door to sleep, the next morning, Henry didn't look guilty at all. He even said, considerately, that he knew I was tired from work and had slept on the sofa last night. I suddenly remembered how many nights Henry had used this excuse. Susan glared at me. "As a woman, no matter how tired you are, you can't make my son sleep on the sofa without parents. You just don't know how to serve men." I quickly said I would end there, laughing coldly inside. "As a woman, I can not only make your son sleep on the sofa but also make him die on it." The three of them happily carried their luggage to travel. As soon as the door closed, my eyes immediately turned cold. I took out all my bank cards and jewelry to inventory, sadly realizing Henry had never given me any jewelry. I had forgotten that on Susan's birthday, Henry had asked me to give her a jade necklace. Proudly hugging me in front of Susan and saying it was bought together to honor her. A text message interrupted my painful memories. Opening it, My mood turned from gloomy to bright. My previous live stream commission had finally arrived, adding to my savings. Buying supplies would definitely be no problem. It was funny. I had secretly saved money to pay off the mortgage and prove to Susan that I was worthy of Henry. Now, all of them can go to hell. I still drove the van to pick up goods. After all, as a live stream seller, I knew many local agricultural product bosses. Making a few calls, they all gave me discounts and offered to deliver to my rented house. To avoid attention, I asked them to pack everything in unmarked cartons. At the supermarket, I used the excuse of company procurement to order directly by the case from the manager. Seeing a big customer, the manager took me to the air-conditioned room to comfortably shop for various self-heating foods. Instant noodles, biscuits, cooked food cans, fruit cans, tea, coffee, various dried goods, nuts, potato chips, olives, jerky, candies, and chocolate. Seasonings were, of course, essential besides oil, salt, soy sauce, vinegar, etc. There was also essential extra sour ketchup. He also ordered a lot of frozen food and fresh fruits and vegetables, arranging for delivery after I bought a freezer. There were also pots, pans, knives, chopsticks, spoons, induction cookers, gas stoves, water purifiers, kettles, kerosene lamps, fans both manual and rechargeable, flashlights, radios, and walkie-talkies. Not knowing how long I would stay alone in the apocalypse, I specifically picked comfortable mattresses, sofas, bedding, towels, slippers, various bathroom supplies, tissues, and sanitary napkins. Watching the truck fill up, I felt elated. Just as I was about to leave, I saw many kitchen knives nearby and smiled, asking the manager if he could give me some. The manager generously gave me 3. After a simple lunch, I rushed to the pharmacy, visiting many places to buy all the needed medicines: fever reducers, anti-inflammatories, cold medicine, antibiotics, vitamins, various disinfectants, and gauzy bandages for hemostasis. I ordered dozens of barrels of bottled water from a store near the rental house, but thinking it wasn't enough, I bought several large water storage barrels and a rainwater collector. Living alone would definitely be boring, so I bought books and 10 laptops and tablets, downloading all kinds of movies, TV shows, music, and standalone games. 2 days later, the rental house was finally renovated. The supermarket and manufacturer's delivery teams arrived in force. Although the residents were curious about the commotion, they lost interest when they heard I was moving. Finally, after organizing the supplies and filling the house, I still felt it was now. He hired people to carry several loads of soil, bought many vegetable seeds and fertilizer, and moved back several pots of strawberries. Leaving the flower market and passing a hardware store, I went in and bought some need-ed tools. If the time came, I could tie a knife to a stick to protect myself. At checkout, I unexpectedly found useful tools: helmets, cut-resistant gloves, extendable batons, and portable flamethrowers, which I bought in bulk. After a busy day, looking at the neatly arranged supplies, I finally relaxed. Suddenly, a phone call announced a package arrival, delivered to my former home. My heart leaping, I immediately drove back. I had bought home surveillance cameras, so I needed all 3 of them to be out before I could install everything. To not miss any exciting moments, I installed 2 cameras in each room and even one at the door. He also replaced the kitchen knives I had left before, organizing the food and leaving them enough for 2 or 3 days. The first few days of the zombie virus outbreak were the most panicked and ignorant. After food shortages, I really wanted to know what Henry, his mother, and his mistress would do. Just as I was about to leave, Henry called. Frowning, I answered. He asked gently, "Have you been busy these days?" Thinking of how many times I'd been deceived by this tone, I almost vomited. "Don't tire yourself out. I'd be heartbroken, baby." I leaned against the wall retching, then heard him change the subject. We're coming back tonight. Cook us something delicious. I really have something to do tonight, I said coldly. You know my boss is hard to please. If I didn't go, I might not get the last commission. As expected, Henry didn't make me cook. Hanging up, I felt a trace of unease. Henry would NT call to care for no reason. Staying at the rental house that night, I just tested the new monitors. I turned on the computer, tore open a bag of chips, and started eating. On the living room monitor, Henry's family finally returned from the luxury tour, all three looking happy, completely unaware of the apocalypse awaiting them. Susan took out several large bags of local specialty dried goods from her luggage. I need to put these away quickly before Flora sees them. The monitor was really good. Susan's selfish voice was clear. Henry sat on the sofa, while Bid poured him a drink and snuggled up beside him. After Susan finished tidying, she came out of the kitchen and began complaining to Henry about my lack of sense. A woman who can't even cook. I said the place she works must be seem lie. What kind of host works at night? Susan cursed. Son, she must have something going on with her boss. Henry's face darkened. Susan said, don't care too much. Think of her as a livestock. Anyway, the money goes into our pockets. Bid chimed in. That's right. Henry and me. Henry said to Susan, stop talking and go cook. Bid is pregnant. Cooking is too hard. How could Susan dote on Bid? What's cooking? When I was pregnant with you, I went plowing. If Bid is lazy, she shoosed like Flora spreading her legs outside. Isn't thard? Bid had to go cook. The high definition camera was so good it even captured Bid. Shrescent full glance. I happily opened another bag of jerky, but the next moment I couldn't laugh. While cooking, Bid suddenly ran out. Henry, didn't you install allocation app on Flora's phone before because you were afraid she was cheating? Check it now, and we'll know where she is. I froze, a gloomy feeling crawling through my limbs. I immediately took out my phone to check and found a deliberately hidden app. I quickly pressed to uninstall, but reason stopped me. If I deleted it, wouldn't I expose myself? But if Henry checked my roots from these days, he would definitely lie. No, I stayed at the rental house for a long time, even if he was unsure which apartment. Asking as my fiance would sure lie. Get the answer. With so many supplies, even without the apocalypse, Susan's difficult tactics could steal it all. Even if I locked myself in, he would make a scene outside, possibly attracting the police. I clenched my fists, unwilling lie glaring at the 3 on the computer screen. No, I wouldn't accept this. I slapped myself. Flora, this is the price of misjudging people. Although you were abandoned by your parents, you worked hard to make a good life. Why did you believe Henry spew lies? Serving his mother, taking in Bid, and he cheated directly. I wiped my tears. No time to cry. Unwillingness and the will to survive ignited my resolve. I quickly put on makeup, changed into a pretty dress, and after confirming Henry and the others were driving over to catch me, I went out with a GoPro, leaving my phone in the car downstairs at the rental house. He took the GoPro to a nearby street full of restaurants, pretending to be a food blogger recording videos. As a professional streamer, I was quickly invited in by a boss to eat. The most popular thing now was beautiful women eating messy lie without image. I ordered 20 pounds of extra spicy crab, set up the GoPro, and started eating. People around kept cheering me on. I was so spicy that tears and snot flowed, ruining my makeup. Looking like a clown, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Henry and the others come over. I turned around, pretending to be shocked. Henry looked confused, but Susan and Bid showed contemptuous smiles. If you're a food blogger, why do you look so ugly? Just as I wiped my face, Henry asked in a disgusted tone. The weirder the more views. No, you don't. Like me being so sloven lie. So I've stayed away these days. Henry, you aren't angry with me, are you? Henry was indeed reassured, shouting, "Baby, you ray amazing." Seeing Bid Shayla's gaze, I felt a little satisfied. He told them I'd been looking for delicious food everywhere these days, and that this place had the spiciest and most satisfying food. Having negotiated with the boss several times to film, they definitely could and guess I'd be installed monitors. Seeing me eat even extra spicy food, they believed my story. Susan hurriedly asked, "How much can you earn like this?" I perfunctorily said, "Not much, but definitely tens of thousands a night." Susan predictably showed a greedy look. He took them to where the car was parked and noticed Henry looking at his phone and then the street signs. It thought he must be matching addresses. He didn't question anything, and I knew I could relax, listening to Henry and Susan discuss unashamedly how to use my salary to buy a building. I gripped the steering wheel, my expression icy. With 2 days left before the zombie virus outbreak, letting them die in the zombies' mouths was now. Before that, I had to get even. When we got home, I didn't want to sleep with Henry, so I said I had to stay up editing videos on the computer and sleep in the living room. Henry agreed, but then I saw Bid secretly pull him, and Henry immediately changed his mind, letting me sleep in the room while he stayed in the living room. I had no objection at all.